On this episode of the podcast, I'm going to talk about having a clean out, a risky move, and a new catchphrase. Oh yeah. That's not a catchphrase, by the way. Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Luke Who's Talking, the Luke Who's Talking podcast. With me, Luke. I hope you're doing all right out there, and I hope you're all G'd for Christmas-a-rooney, which is coming up very soon. I'll have to check the calendar to see if is it going to be an episode in between now and Christmas. Probably. No, I don't know. No, there won't be. There you go. Anyway, let's get into the first story. So, last Friday, I got to work late. Because I had to go to the doctor. I had an excuse, right? Anyway, so I got there and we just, did what we had to do. And I had a little bit of time left until I was, able to knock off. Anyway, so the all of a sudden, the boss, he's, swanning around and there's people gathering up piles of junk. And I discovered that there was a skip parked out the back in the car park. And, there was... we were having a clean out apparently at the station, which I knew nothing about. So so myself and the boss, Mr. D. Rye, if you're out there listening, how are you? We were having a bit of a good old time. We went and got a filing cabinet and we chucked that in the skip and just newspapers and just a lot of stuff. There was like a breakfast bar thing we chucked in the skip, and there was a desk we tossed on the skip, and then we took it off the skip, got a sledgehammer, smashed it up, put it back on the skip, and just we had a skip there and we filled it up in like 2.5 hours. 3 hours, I reckon, at a stretch. We filled this skip full of stuff. There was furniture in there. There was filing cabinets. There was old documents, old bits and pieces from past advertising campaigns and that sort of stuff. Old signs. Actually, speaking of old signs, I saved from the skip an Oasis sign. I have a wooden Oasis sign. It's got the Gallaghers on the front, and I'm just trying to. It says Oasis Heaven. Is it Heaven Chemistry? I think it says on it. Yeah, it's from Sony Music, which has got Sony Music written on the back. That was going to go in the skip, and I was going to chuck it in the skip myself. I got round the side of the building where the skip was. I had it in my hand, and I thought, oh, no, I'll keep that. So I kept it. So I have an Oasis sign, a nice wooden Oasis sign. But, hey, spoilers, I have nowhere to hang it in my room. So I'm just going to, put it under the bed until I get a man cave. But, when's that going to happen? Who knows? Let's get into the next story, which is, So, I did something a couple of weeks ago. At the time, I was like, yeah, why not? Upon reflection, probably shouldn't have done it, if I'm honest. Probably shouldn't have done it. Because it's not that great for me. I don't know. Anyway, you can be the judge. Now, as mentioned in episode 12, I'll start by saying that there is a particular young woman whom I know, and she's pretty great, and I would like to be her guy. However, she has one already, so that's a bit crappy for me. And I've mentioned her before in episodes 12 and 22 of the podcast, so you can, go back and whatever. And mostly... I'm okay. I don't really think about it much, or I'm okay about it. But, about her being unavailable, could I say, to me. However, some days I have a bit of a hard yearn day. And I had one recently, which was lousy. Which was pretty lousy. Anyway, so the other week it was her birthday. Now, last year for her birthday, when she was single... she likes a particular drink that you can buy here in Australia. She likes Milo. So I bought her a personalised Milo tin. So it had her name on it, and she really enjoyed it. Anyway, so this year I was like, well, I thought I'd like to get her something, but I can't top the Milo tin. So I did a risky play. I wrote her a little poem, and it was something like, today's the day of your 23rd birthday. Your horse you'll ride, your dog you'll play with, you'll smile, laugh, giggle, and grin, or something like that. And then it was like, I couldn't top the Milo tin, so this is what you've got. Something like that. And so I wrote it, and then I went and read it out to her. And I must say, whilst I was doing so, I felt that my heart was going to go through my chest and then through the wall and just keep going. It was beating ridiculously hard, and she took it well, me doing this. She had a laugh, about a giggle, and then she was like, oh, and she had a little bit of a cough, like, oh my goodness. So I took her breath away, quite literally. But not really something I probably should have done. And, it's a doozy, because the heart wants what the heart wants, doesn't it? But then the head's like, nah, give her up. And then my heart goes, well, how about this theory? Maybe it's not your time to be with this person. And my head goes, no. And then my heart says something else. And then it's just a loop of chaos. So I think the only way to fix it is to either remove my head, or, I've clipped a bit there, or cut out my heart. Wow, that escalated to ridiculous, things. But, and then sometimes oh my God, am I obsessed with this person? Or do I love her? I don't know. Anyway, but back onto the poem. I wrote her one and then, read it out to her, and probably shouldn't have at all, because I'm not her guy. So there you go, folks. That's an update on Luke's love life, which is an absolute circus, and I don't really like it much at all. Where it's at. It's a bit lousy. I was actually going to not do that story, but I was like, it's me talking about what's happening in the world, in my world. So there you go. Let's get to catchphrases. I was at a friend's party a week or so ago, and now as people whom know me, one particular person out there who's listening will be quite aware of this. I use the word scandal quite a bit, and I think I can well and truly claim that as my catchphrase. My catchphrase being scandal. Or, scandalous. Actually, I think it's scandal. There you go. That, I think it's fair to say, is somewhat of a catchphrase of mine. However, when I was at my friend's party the other week, I started using another phrase, another term, which I'm actually a bit of a fan of. And that is a toxic allegation. I think that is a spicy catchphrase. That is a spicy phrase to use. About if I actually applied for a job to be talkback host. There you go. There's a little bit more insight into my world. There you go. I thought, I'd lay in bed and just sort of close my eyes and pretend I'm, imagine I'm running a show, and you're in running a conversation, running an interview with somebody, and they make a bit of a hot take, and you're like, whoa, that is a toxic allegation. Is that right? Are you sure you want to be saying that and have that on the record? Because you have to be, you have to be careful about, if somebody calls up, for example, and it's like, if this person's a scoundrel, you're like, well, that is a toxic allegation. Do you have any evidence to back up said allegation about said scandal? There you go. But so I've got to roll. I think I've got to roll it out a bit more often. I've only used it I only used it at the at said party that I was at. But I think I've got to roll it out a bit more in my everyday affairs. That is a toxic allegation, because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that. That's a great phrase. I'm gonna put a copyright on that phrase. So if I see you using it, I will sue you. Yes, that is a toxic allegation, but it could be a legit one. Well, that is it for this episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at @L_Who's Talking. We're on Facebook, or you can send me an email, lukewho'stalkingpod@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. I hear podcasts say, if you give us a rating, that moves us up the pecking order. So if you want to leave the podcast a rating or a review or something, please do. Share it around. Share it with a friend, or even with somebody who's not a friend, or share it with somebody that is unavailable to you. Maybe you could do that as well and be like, hey, look at this, it's a fun podcast. Or just, I don't know, yell at somebody down the street, hey, you should listen to the Luke Who's Talking podcast, because the host has a lot of problems. Anyway, oh God. Anyway. Oh, that was rough. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. Now, what did I reckon? I don't think there's going to be a podcast Christmas time. Actually, there'll be one the week after Christmas, if I remember correctly. So next Friday's the 20th. So then that will make Thursday or Wednesday Christmas Day. So there'll be one like Boxing Day or the day after. Anyway, I hope you have a good Christmas, everybody. And I'll be in your ears when I'm in your ears. Bye.